Good morning and welcome. My name is Kitty Coy. I'm so grateful that you're here today or watching the recording for three secrets how to create connected relationships. A little bit about me before we get started is I am a neuroscientist turned magnetic mind coach. So I spent 10 years working in neuroscience. I was a behavioral neurophysiological researcher, which is a fancy way of saying I studied how the structure of your brain affects your behavior and how your behavior actually changes and affects the structure of your brain. So little did I know after those 10 years in research. I loved research, but it was not my forever career. And so I shifted into coaching, and magnetic mind coaching is about helping people get clear in what they want to create. What is the magic of that they want to create in their lives? What do they want to manifest? What is the vision they want to bring to life? So helping people get clarity in that vision, and then working through using neuroscience-based tools, because that's my specialty, is all things neuroscience. So neuroscience-based tools to help release resistance, which could be fear, self-doubt, procrastination, unworthiness, whatever that looks like. That's internal resistance. It can also look like freak accidents, family emergencies, things outside of your control. It's all just resistance. And so anytime resistance comes up when you're working on a goal, we can use neuroscience to release it. And then once you've released that roadblock, I help people walk the path towards whatever it is they're creating with accountability and support using neuroscience all the way. I am deeply passionate about all of that because of my life journey. I am passionate, and I am an international inspirational speaker. I love speaking on all things around leadership, which is communication, connection, relationship building, how to stop conflict or manage and mitigate conflict, how to get untriggered, how to de-escalate your emotions using lots of juicy neuroscience-based tools. Those are some of the things I'm passionate about talking about. I'm also passionate about talking about how can people become manifesting machines? Because I teach the quantum physics and neuroscience of manifestation, and really what it is in general. If I had to summarize it in a sentence, is I teach people how to improve their relationship to abundance through improving their relationship to others and their own selves. So anyways, that's just a little bit about me. I'm so grateful that you're here today. We're going to get rocking and rolling in this presentation, and I would love to start with a story. So what does it matter about the sock? My husband yelled at me quite angrily some years ago. You see, we'd been spring cleaning, and I had been all day long nitpicking the quality of his work. The streaks that were still on the window, the crumbs on the kitchen floor, and this sock not making it in the washing machine was the straw that broke the camel's back. And suddenly my husband is yelling at me over a sock. But we all know that it had nothing to do with the sock itself. And so when was the last time you found yourself at odds or at the throat of somebody you love over something as simple as a sock that didn't make it in a washing machine? So that's why I'm so passionate to be here today to share with you all about how to create connected relationships. Because when we go through these steps of connection, it is much easier. We don't end up at the throats of the people that we love. So go ahead and start my slideshow. And again, if you have any questions, anything you want to share along the way, please feel free to put it in the chat or unmute. So relationships are a beautiful dance. And when you're in sync with someone, it's fun, it's playful, you feel connected. And it's like a dance because you're holding hands, you're in lockstep with this partner. You feel good, you feel connected, you feel supported. And things build up over time, and all relationships, we end up in this place where we are no longer in this beautiful dance. We've broken the connection to our partner. Like, we're no longer dancing, we're not holding hands. In the dancing analogy, maybe wonderful, we're not holding each other's hands, we're not in lockstep anymore, we're stepping on each other's feet. And so this is what leads to this place where we're then yelling at each other. We're not feeling connected. We're not hearing the other person. And this happens in all relationships. But let me tell you how we got there. So all relationships start with a honeymoon stage. So in this honeymoon stage, we are so in love with this person that we see the best in them. And when we see the best in them and we're in this emotion of love, it's bringing out the best in us, and then we say positive things, that brings out the best in them, which brings out the best in us, which brings out the best in them. And it's a positive snowball. And in the honeymoon stage of our relationship, we're in this place of connection that something as simple as making a smoothie together is an opportunity to show each other how much you love each other. And then some time goes on and we start to notice these little irks and irritations and the quirks about this person that start to irritate us. And we get just annoyed, and maybe we say something, maybe we don't, but these things start to add up. These places where we're no longer seeing the joy, maybe we're seeing the negative things in our partner, and it builds and it builds and it builds as time goes on. And then that's when we start yelling, and we actually get to this point where we're actually in conflict in our relationships. And so that's the life stages of relationships. And we're going to talk about how can you create connection so that you can come back, even if you're at this place in a relationship where you're in conflict, you can come back to the place of the honeymoon stage and be in connection. Or this is a great way to start to build a relationship from scratch, whether you have a connection to that person already, or you're working on manifesting and creating that connection in your life. This is an opportunity to learn how to build this connection. So how did we get to this place where we're yelling and we're in conflict, we're not connected to our partner? Is every time we get in an argument, we add another brick to the wall between us and our partner. We're just building that brick wall with every time we see something and reinforce what we don't like about them, what we are, every time an argument, every judgment we have, every negative interaction we have, whether it happens in the 3D world with our partner, or if it happens in our mind about our partner, either way, we are building a brick in the wall between us and our partner. And unfortunately, when we build this brick wall, what happens is this brick wall can get so high and so long that we can no longer see our partner. And that's when things like breakups and divorce and, big blowouts and severe conflicts happen in our relationship, because this brick wall is so big that we can no longer even see this person around the brick wall. So there's only 2 steps to creating connection. It's step 1, stop putting more bricks on the wall. And step 2, start taking bricks off of the wall. So we're going to talk about how you can do that today. And I already said this, but I want to reiterate this as this happens, as the stages of a relationship between the honeymoon stage and up to where things build up, it happens in all relationships. All of this applies to all of the relationships in your life, whether it's a coworker, an intimate partner, a friend, or family member. These same principles all apply. So I'm talking today about from the lens of an intimate partnership, but this applies to all relationships in life. So I'd encourage you to take just a moment right now and think about a person in your life that you would love to have a better relationship with. Just think about that one person. And it was probably the inspiration of what got you to this event today. But pick one person so that when I'm giving these examples and when I'm talking for the rest of this webinar, that you can start picturing and seeing how you could apply these tips and tools in your relationship with that one person. So keep that relationship in your mind as we go along. So let's start with secret number 1. Secret number 1 is our words can make or break our relationships. And I'm going to start this by going through a quick demonstration. So I'm going to talk you through the steps about this now, and then we'll play. And if you feel like it, you can play along and experience it yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it doesn't matter what hand, we choose a hand, and we're going to put our index finger and our thumb together. And the goal is never let this circle get broken. And with our other hand, we're going to put our index finger in the hole and see if we can break this circle. We're going to say phrases multiple times and then see if the circle breaks or not. So if you want to play along, put your index finger and thumb together and hold them tight. We're going to repeat the phrase 5 times I can't hold my fingers together. 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 Hold as tight as you can, put your index finger in and pull. What happened? Put weak in the chat if your fingers broke when you said, I can't hold my fingers together. And I'll give you a second to add anything in the chat if you want to. And next, we're going to say the phrase, we're going to set it up the same way, index finger and thumb. We're going to say the phrase, I can hold my fingers together 5 times. I can hold my fingers together. 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 Hold really tight and pull. What happened? I would love to see strong in the chat. If, like me, you would, your fingers, your connection was strong when you said, I can hold my fingers together. So you may be asking yourself, what the heck does this exercise interesting? And I love that we can talk about that a little bit at the end. Sometimes things are a little bit different, and that's an energetic thing, and we can talk about that at the end because results may vary. But typically speaking, when I have a large audience and I do this talk, 90-something% of the audience experiences the same thing that I was showing, which when I say I can hold my fingers together, I can. When I say I can't, that I can't. So, but you may be asking yourself, why on earth am I talking and doing this thing with fingers in a talk about connection? And it boils down to one thing. When you say negative words like I can't, I won't, and when you have these negative words, you are disconnected. But it's not just disconnected in your fingers. You're actually disconnected in your power and your strength in your body. You're disconnected because it's not just your fingers. Your fingers is a great way to show this example. You are literally weaker in your entire body when you use negative words. And I learned that firsthand a couple different ways. I was hiking the Inca Trail, and at one point I was really struggling, and I noticed I was saying negative words. I was exhausted. It was really hard, and I felt very weak. And I started pumping myself up and cheerleading myself. And then all of a sudden I felt immediately this more strength and I was less exhausted. I have some other fun examples of real life situations where my words dramatically changed my physiology, because it's very true. It's instantaneously that your physiology is changed by your words. But when we say these negative words, we're weak, we're disconnected, we're not tapped into our strength. But it's not just disconnected from ourselves, it's disconnected from other people, and that creates conflict and all sorts of other things because we are disconnected from our higher self. And when you are disconnected from your higher self, that's when we say things we don't mean and we lash out and we get in this place where we're creating conflict or not managing conflict well. But we're certainly not, if you're saying negative words, you're certainly not connected with your partner. And so the positive is also true as well. When you say positive words, you are connected in your relationship. And so positive words create harmony within ourselves. We can tap into our strength, our energy, and it's not just connection within ourselves, it's connection and like to our physiological body, it's connection to our partner, connection to our purpose, connected to our higher authentic self. And that's when everything seems to flow in our lives. That's when we become manifesting machines. This is when we feel connected in our relationships. So I use this example to share with you the words you use can make or break your relationships. And so how can you focus on having these positive words and thoughts are just words that you say in your head. So positive words and positive thoughts really help you feel connected, not only to yourself, but in your relationships. So we'll move on to secret number 2 of how to create more connection is we actually expect other people to read our minds. So let me tell you about this. I'm sure you've seen this before, this paper mache volcano where we had, you build it, or if you've never done it yourself, you've had a child who's done it, or you've heard of it at least. I don't remember if I've done it, but I certainly know how this works. You have a volcano that you build and you add in baking soda and you add and you add and you add this baking soda. And then you add one little thing vinegar, and you add that one little thing that you add, then the volcano explodes everywhere. This is what happens to you when you do not express your emotions, when you have needs that are not being met and they're not being expressed. So how do we stop this eruption? Well, first, let's think about what are the things, what's the baking soda that we're adding? How are we getting to this point where we can have a flashpoint where just one little thing, the straw that broke the camel's back, the sock that didn't make it in the washing machine, and then suddenly we're at the throats of our partner or whatever relationship in life we're applying to. So just think about what is one thing that you need to feel connected in your relationship? And especially focusing on things that you haven't expressed yet, or maybe you haven't even acknowledged as a need. So I'll give you a moment to think about that. And just a little hint in case you're feeling stuck or you don't know, it's probably your love language. So I'll give you a minute to think about what do you need in a relationship to feel connected? And I find a lot of these times, most people, if they're not communicating, it's because they don't even realize that they have this need. So let me share with you a story about how this connects to friendships. So during the lockdown, I did a lot of check-ins because I love people and I love connection. I'm an extroverted extrovert. And I did a lot of connections and reach outs to people and like, how are you doing? And things like that. And I started to notice not many people ever reached out to me. And I was feeling kind of disconnected, even though I was putting a lot of effort in. So I sat down and thought about it and then reached out to the people that really mattered to me. And I communicated, because I didn't realize how much I needed them to respond. I needed them to reach out to me once a month, once a quarter to feel connected. And just to reply to my texts. And so at some point when I realized, I was like, I really need that response, that connection, even if it's just text messages or phone calls, because we can't see each other in person right now. I need that back. Like that's something that is a part of being a friend with me, is like, and having a connected relationship is I love to feel that connection. So I thought about the people that it really mattered with, and I reached out and I had a conversation. I just said, hey, I want to feel more connected with you. What do you need to feel connected in a relationship? Like, how can I support you? And then I said, and what I would love and what I need to feel connected in a relationship is, if I send you a message or give you a call, like if within a couple of weeks or a month or something, you could text me back or call me back or something, but just reach out back and we'll just play, tag back and forth of who's reaching out. But this is what I want to be connected. I want to see you and interact with you via Zoom or in person or a phone call or whatever, at least once a quarter. Because I was doing this with like 100 people, but I only communicated to a handful. I was like, it's really important to me that I connect with you regularly. Like that's how we build this friendship and relationship. And then so many people were like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I wasn't showing up. Thank you so much for sharing. And I got the benefit of learning what it takes for them. Cause some people were like acts of service. So, or whatever their love language was. So I would do things like send them cookies or whatever. So I built and strengthened my connection in these relationships because I got clear, well, what is it that I need? And I communicated it in a healthy and clear way. So that's really, this just exercises to help you think what's one thing you need to feel connected in your relationship, because how we avoid this volcanic explosion of our emotions is to get clear on what our needs are and to communicate our needs calmly and clearly and create win-win situations. And it says in your household, but it's really in your relationship. But think about this, because oftentimes I find that it's in our household that things can get so explosive because we tend to have the liberty of feeling, we feel comfortable enough with that person that they really see all of the sides of us. But which do you prefer? Like, being like the smooth communicator that's diffusing situations before they happen, like maybe like a bomb diffuser or whatever, coming in and just taking down, de-escalating the situation so there's no explosion? Or would you prefer to have to rebuild your house and put it all back together after a volcano exploded inside of it? I know I certainly prefer the former versus the latter. All right, so secret number 3. Our focus affects every aspect of our lives. And so Has this ever happened to you? You imagine yourself in this scenario where you're at work, it's at the office, and it's been a long, hard week of just lots of complication, lots of confusion, lots of stress and negative emotions. And it's the end of the day on Friday. And so as you're closing up the office for the weekend, you go around, you go to each office, and you gather the trash so it doesn't smell on Monday. You gather up all that trash and you put it all together in bags, and then you put those bags in your car. You drive home, you come home, and then you walk into your house and just start dumping those bags of garbage all over your living room, throwing them at the people in your house, just whipping that garbage bag around. That, who here's done that? Okay, just me. Well, here's the thing. We all do this all of the time. Unfortunately, we use our partners and the people that we live with as a dumping ground. When we have a negative day, when we have negative emotions we're experiencing or stress, people will ask us, "Hi, honey, how was your day?" And then we just like word vomit all of our stress or anxiety or all of these negative things onto that person. And we've literally then dumped our stress and negativity on that person. And that's why in venting, we often feel great afterwards because we've gotten the garbage up and out of us and then just dumped it onto somebody else. And so, how do we fix this? How do we stop dumping garbage on the people in our lives with our negative focus and our negative words? And so, let's just take a minute to think. Where is your focus? Day to day, are you focused on the things that bring you joy, the things that light you up, where your day is going well? Or are you focused on the stress in your life, the negative, the problems, things that aren't going well, places where you feel pulled down? This is not to like, the point is not to like shame or blame yourself for doing this. It's just open-hearted curiosity asking you this question. When somebody asks you, "How is your day?" What's the first thing you say? And so just noticing and not beating yourself up about it and just saying, "Oh, where can I shift my focus?" Because you have the power to shift everything by shifting your focus. Wherever your mind goes, your energy and attention flows. And so when we focus on the negative things in our life, they expand, they become overwhelming. When we focus on the positive things in our life, they become much more manageable and fun. And we see the joy in the everyday, even in the mundane. So generally speaking, our lives are 80% positive and 20% negative. But from caveman times, evolutionarily, our brains are designed to amplify the negative by more than 3 times. Why is this? Because when we were cavemen, if a snake slithered into the campsite or whatever where we were and bit somebody and they died, your life now depends on remembering what was the color and pattern of that snake, because it's your survival that depends on knowing what that snake is and avoiding that snake. So our brains and all these, and what were the berries that we picked, and then somebody ate those berries and died. We need to know what those berries were, and so we can avoid them. So literally, evolutionarily, our brains are designed to take these negative things and amplify them and make them so important, because in millions of years ago, thousands of years ago, it was life or death that we remembered all these negative things. But nowadays, people, generally speaking, you're not going to get bitten by a snake or eat a poisonous berry. You're not being chased by a lion or a saber-toothed tiger anymore, but your brain is still hardwired to focus on the negative and amplify it. And so this is, generally speaking, our lives are 80% positive and 20% negative. But what about when there's things that are going on that are negatively? And so this just 20% feels like 60%. It feels like more than half the time things are negative. So what about when there are, there are phases or times in your life where there are more negative things going on, and this is maybe 40% and 60% positive? Well, that 40% is going to feel like 120% because of how it's amplified in our brains and how strongly connected negative emotions are in our neurological pathways. And so this is why we're just naturally, we focus on the negative. So we get to retrain our brains to focus on the positive, and that's where I come in. That's literally what I do with people, is rewire their brains for more happiness and success, and retrain people how to shift their mindset. And so, and this is just a little bit of reflection time. Think about the last time somebody asked you, How was your day? Did you lead with your complaints, traffic, all the negative things that were happening? Or did you focus on the positive? So just think about this again, open-hearted curiosity, no beating ourselves up, just notice. And are you ready to shift that? And I want to acknowledge and honor that our lives are not all sunshine and rainbows. Like negative things happen in our lives and we need to communicate, we need to talk about them. Sometimes we do need to focus on this negativity. And that doesn't, what we can do is we can still lead with the positive first. You can still find a moment of joy in a really negative day. And that's really what mindset mastery is being able to weather these, to, face these storms and weather these storms with a smile and occasionally tapping into this joyful place. And that like I was talking about on the Inca Trail, when I was focused on the negative words, I was so energetically drained. When I focused on the positive, I literally found this surplus of energy. Like I found this extra energy tank I didn't know I had to tap in to fuel me through. And it was an amazing experience, but it was a little bit physically daunting and grueling. And so it was able to fuel me through this. So when we can tap into that positive moment, that positive mindset, it will fuel you through these potentially negative and hard experiences in our lives. And what's the cost if we don't shift our mindset? Because when we're in this negative place, we're jumping on our partner, we are literally using them as a punching bag. And when we're using our partner as a punching bag, what does it do? It's just building another brick on the wall. Every time we come home and we dump negative energy on somebody, thinking about that relationship in your mind that I talked about in the beginning, what is the relationship that encouraged you to join this call today? Like thinking about every brick you've built on the wall through the judgments, the arguments, the conflict, the time they were focused on their negative aspects, the time that you felt, you didn't feel supported, but didn't say something. Like it's really just another brick in the wall that's building a wall between you and this person. And we don't want to be in this place of building this brick wall. So what if we could just check our emotional baggage at the curb? And this is what I love to focus on each and every day is just how do I check that negativity so I can be in this place of positive energy? And so your homework, should you choose to accept it, is to focus on the positive first. How can you and again, you can still talk about negative things. I'm not saying, because we don't want to ignore negative things and just put a smile on our face. That's toxic positivity. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about how can you find that glimmer of sunlight in an otherwise crappy day. And it's like, okay, maybe you had a rough day, but you come home and someone in your household says, how was your day? You're like, my lunch was good. I managed to find a decent parking spot, even if, it seems petty or minuscule, those little things that you could be happy about, you can just share that joy first. Because what that does is that lights us up. We're in alignment with our higher selves when we focus on that positivity. We are in alignment and we are then, turning on our light and then our joy, and then our mood, our energy becomes infectious. When we can be in that place of positivity, we can then share that place, even if it's just those few things or that one thing in the beginning that you answer the question with, how was your day? You start with that. You are then positively impacting the people in your lives. You're no longer dumping on them. You are sharing your joy and sharing your light. And just like in these, this toy that people have, when you have this positive, this swings into that and will positively impact all those people, and it'll come back and it'll radiate and expand. So are you ready to knock down the wall between you and the person that inspired you to get on this talk? Are you ready to build and create more connection in your life? If so, I would love to support you in tearing down this wall, giving you the tools to stop putting bricks on the wall, and how do you tear it down? So as a thank you for attending today, I am offering a relationship reconnection session. So this is a free 45-minute call with me, no strings attached. This is not designed to push you into anything. It's just designed to give you tips to immediately create connection in your relationships. I literally give you tips that you can use today to create more connection, and a roadmap of how you can do this moving forward. And a roadmap, if it's an aligned fit, how I could potentially help you in that roadmap of moving forward. And I'll put this link in the chat in just a minute. I would normally offer this, or if you were just paying for this off the street, it would be $197, but it's free today as a thank you for your time for attending. And I would just encourage you, don't miss this opportunity to feel seen, heard, and supported in your relationships, to rebuild that connection, to tear down that wall. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm going to pop this in this link in the chat, but if you have any questions, please let me know. I will also put up, here's my email address. You feel free to email me at any time. I'm always happy to answer things, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording.